All right, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Shirley Talk. And this one's going to be a good one because we were sitting here discussing this topic a few minutes ago and then Kelly's blood started boiling. So this one will be great. My name is Mike Mulrooney.
I'm Kelly Duckworth.
And neither one of us are doctors or funeral directors or nurses or car salesmen. And we'll explain that one in a second. But Kelly, you want to cover a little bit about what we do with Shirley's Way before we get started?
Absolutely. We are a nonprofit. We help cancer patients pay for everyday utility bills and rent, mortgage, and food and prescription medications and things that they may not be able to afford while they're battling cancer.
Yeah, and we've given away over $1 million since we started. So if you want to help us out, go out to shirleysway.org and sign up for a regular monthly donation. And we'll talk a little bit about that more towards the end. But this topic, we were sitting around talking about this, and, I had a decent experience with this, but it's planning the funeral of your loved one that has just passed, obviously, from anything, but ours is cancer. And Kelly, what did you call the funeral directors?
Car salesman of death.
Oh, man, I love that title. But, I had a good experience because the person that did the funeral was a friend of mine. And he's been a funeral director at this funeral home for years. And Mark did a phenomenal job. I don't get the feeling that he was the car salesman type, but, it's just interesting if you don't know the person helping you, whether you're buying a car or a casket, they're going to upsell you on everything. And he flat told me, and obviously you had a different experience. We were looking at caskets, and he said, I'll be honest with you. This one here for, let's just say $2,000 is no different than that one over there for $10,000. It's made the same. It's just got a little few extra bells and whistles, and would your mom care? So did you not have the same experience? Did you roll out of there? Or they try to sell you a Cadillac of caskets?
Man, it was so bad.
Was it?
Yeah, it was really bad. I remember growing up, like I said, my family's older, so I kind of experienced a lot of death. And my grandparents and, aunts and uncles, and they kind of used this one funeral home. We knew them, went to the same cemetery.
And we're dying to tell y'all who they are, but we're not going to because we don't want to put people on blast.
Should you sit there? Dying to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, hit the drums.
No pun intended. That's funny. I won't say any names, but I remember my mom died. She didn't have a will, but we knew. She told me and my dad, she said, I will haunt you if you all burn me. She was diehard Catholic, wanted to be buried, and wanted to be buried next to her parents. That was kind of the big thing. So I remember she died, and me and my aunt that I often talk about, her sister, and my dad, we went to this funeral home. And we were telling them, hey, my mom wants to be buried here. This is where her mom and dad are, blah, blah, blah. And they pull up the records, and they're looking, and this lady sitting across from me, and she's like, oh, my gosh, you are never going to believe this. There's a plot open right next to her parents. We can put her right there for... I'm not going to, it was $20,000 is what the total was going to end up being after everything.
You can buy an acre lot for $20,000.
I mean, I almost rolled out of my chair. I'm like, $20,000. It was going to be like $1,500 just to dig a hole.
Yeah.
And then like another $1,500 just to put dirt in it. And my dad's sitting there. My dad's a country guy. He's like, well, I got a tractor. I'll dig the hole myself. Like, he was doing all this, and I'm sitting here trying to be realistic. And I'm like, how am I going to be that daughter that, my mom wants to be buried here. She's told me multiple times she wants to be buried next to her parents. Who am I not to do that,
But she wanted to upcharge you for a plot just because it was next to the parents.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm grieving and I'm trying to think logically and I'm like, I have to do it. But like, I don't have $20,000, And back then, I was volunteering with Shirley's Way, and Mike had set up a link through Shirley's Way to take donations. People could donate and try to pay for my mom's funeral. Which she had a $10,000 401k, and we knew that was going towards her funeral as well, but it would be a couple months before we would get that money. So I knew I had $10,000 there. And this lady literally is sitting across, and she was like, well, how can you not put your mom here? How can you not, grant her final wishes? And I'm like, are you going to give me the rest of the money?
She literally said that?
Oh, she was pissed.
Wow.
She was pissed. And I'm sitting here and I'm like looking, and my dad's like, well, I don't know what to do, And I was like, I got to take a minute, I got to go think this through, because at that point I was going to do it. I was like, because who am I? You know, I'm going to be a terrible daughter for not doing that. I know
and
she wants to.
Played on those emotions.
Totally
that
played on them.
Absolutely horrible. I'm really wanting to blast this location.
I am too.
Big time.
I did blast them.
Yeah.
I remember I was so mad the next day because, funeral home A, that was so bad to us. We went to funeral home B, and they were amazing.
So where's your mom at right now?
She is right across from Shirley's Way.
But I mean, is she sitting in a... Where was the body sitting?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. So she's literally, and my mom was a hilarious person, so it's probably funny to her, but she was just bouncing from funeral homes around Dixie.
Different refrigerators, I guess.
Yeah, she had came from the hospital where she died, and they thought she was going to go to this funeral home. And I was like, hell no. Excuse my language, but no. I can't afford it, So then she drove over to this funeral home. And so I know she probably thought that was funny. But yeah, that second funeral home was amazing. Half the price. I mean, and I was way more satisfied with them.
So she's not buried next to her parents?
No.
That is horrible that person... I would love to know the going rate for that little piece of property to bury somebody normally. I mean, do the prices fluctuate? I'd love to hear from a funeral director that says, all right, these are the prices on these. And then when somebody walks in grieving, they double the price because they know they can, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I know when my grandpa died, they had already bought their plots years ago. And they were way cheaper, obviously. So, that was all paid for. But yeah, I remember sitting at that table and I was like, would my mom want to be buried next to her parents and put me in a financial ruin? Or would my mom tell them to kick rocks?
Yeah, I know what she would say.
Yeah, and we did too. And that's what I got up out of there and I never went back.
That's amazing because most people won't get up and leave. They won't take that extra time. And that's why I call you the little badass, because you don't put up with that stuff. I mean, because that is absolutely horrible for somebody to do that. It's funny. He was talking about your dad said he could dig the hole. When they buried my mom, we went down. They had already bought the plots and the headstone, and it had the names. Well, my dad's name was on the right and my mom's name was on the left. When they dug the hole, they dug the one on the right next to my dad's name. And he walked down and kind of had a panicked look on his face. He's like, I'm not the one going in the hole today. So they wanted to charge us extra money to close that hole up and dig the new one.
Because they messed up.
Yeah. Which it's like $1,500 to open and close a grave.
Well, and like you said, okay, you want this casket for $2,000, or you can buy this one that does the exact same thing, but it's a different color with a chrome rail on it.
Yeah.
With a white pillow for $10,000.
That's exactly the way it is. Like I said, my friend Mark, he really did great by us. But that's exactly what he said. So did you get sold on different caskets and different colors and sizes and prices and things like that?
Nope, because I'm a realistic person and I know that my mom would have wanted me to do this. And like I said, it was hard. It was really hard to get up from that table.
Yeah.
Because I knew that that's what she wanted. And, this, like I said, this lady's playing off of that. And I was but that wasn't realistic for me. I couldn't afford it. My dad couldn't afford it. So I remember looking at all these and I was straight up with the guy. I said, look, this is how much money I have to spend. I don't want to put her in this cardboard box, obviously, but what can I get, and they were great.
That's amazing.
I mean, it was, yeah.
Which funeral home was that?
Bethany.
That's what I thought.
And that's kind of funny too, because now, she loved going up to Khalil's and we would play trivia and do all these things. And
right across the street.
Yeah, we were like, now she's got a front row view, where she's right across the street from us. Yeah, but I know that's what she would have wanted. And it was nice because she's back in kind of the newer part and there's tons of plots available, which, my dad wants to be cremated or whatever. But they were like, if you all ever want to come by your plot, if you want to be buried here, there's tons of room. They offered you could plant a tree or plant something there. I mean, just the way that they worked with you and they were empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the complete opposite end of the road too from where you went at the first time.
Yeah. And I'm not one of those that is going to get on there and bash someone, but because, Funeral Home B did so good with me, I was praising them, and then I just put the other one in the dirt. I said, I hope to God you all have a better experience than I did.
Yeah.
My blood pressure is through the roof.
Yeah, I could tell you were shaking when we started
you talk about PTSD.
About yeah.
I was just like, how could you?
Oh, well, you call them the salesman of death, the car salesman of funerals, and you're going to have good or bad experiences, but it's a shame that people use grief to make money off of. And that's exactly what they were doing. They should have those prices pre-published of what it cost to purchase that piece of ground that you're going to be buried in before, because you make horrible decisions when you're grieving, and they know it. And for years, it's been talked about that that's the most shameful industry because of something like that. But it's just horrible. So, when I was doing mine, Mark did a great job with me, but I was shocked by the obituary. They're expensive. And I'm not sure who buys the paper anymore these days, but it's a ridiculous amount of money to put so many lines in the paper, the local paper. And if you want it on the internet, it costs more money. And if you want a picture, it costs more money. It's amazing how much it costs to do that when you could post the info on social media these days and not cost anything.
Yeah, I remember my mom's funeral, aside from the obituary, but obviously I'd never planned a funeral before. So trying to find a pastor, and, like I said, my mom was Catholic, and planning your music and things like that. And we ended up getting Pastor Tim Hartledge. Yeah, I'm sure you know him. Yeah. Well, I know his sister, family friend or whatever, and I didn't even put two and two together. He came in, and I told him, I said my mom was, which he knew my mom, as he knows half of the South End. And we had pretty much a party for her. I said, I don't want to sit here and I don't want to cry the whole time. I want you to talk about these stories and how my mom lived her life. And I mean, he was amazing.
That's the way it should be.
It should.
Anybody knows Tim? I don't know him real well, but I know him from many years ago, and he was a trip. He's one of those that always has a story. And a lot of people know him. But my mom, when she died, she spent 40-something years, her entire life, at a local church, went to church every Sunday. And right before she passed, I called the priest there, and his assistant told me that they would have to check his schedule to see if he could come out and give her last rites and talk to her before she passed. And I was just as livid as you are. And thankfully, my dad didn't go up to the church because he was so mad. And I think till to this day, if he saw that priest out, he would probably say something to him.
That's unreal.
But to treat somebody that had been there making weekly donations to the church her entire life, and then be told, I need to check my schedule when they're on their deathbed.
And so he didn't come?
No, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. I was mad. I got on social media and posted. I didn't post who. I said, I need a priest to come. And people started sending me messages, and there was a small church close by. I actually called this priest's cell phone number, and he came by in 10 minutes. He was right there. But I'll never forget what that other priest had said and the way he treated my mom right before she died. It's horrible.
It is. It's ridiculous.
But, you would think priests would be a little more empathetic than that. But the flowers and all that stuff, planning a funeral, I know that's the funeral home's business, and you've got wedding planners. I'm surprised somebody hasn't started a funeral planning business.
I mean, that's a good idea.
Funerals.
Shirley's Way planning business.
Yeah, because the flowers and the gifts and it's just the most insane thing I've ever seen. But it's all sales based on somebody's grief.
And it's honestly directed more towards the living. I mean, I don't know that my mom would have cared. My mom didn't like flowers. She didn't have a green thumb. She'd kill everything in sight, But the flowers and all that, that's really for the living.
It is.
For the spouse or the kids and things like that. And yeah, I mean, like I said, we went as cheap as possible. Same thing with her headstone. We did a go-halfers for her headstone. I remember that. And I told him, I said, I have this much money. What can I get for this? And they worked great. And whatever, to each their own, but I don't understand the big, huge $20,000 headstones, because like I said, it's for the living. I don't want to go sit there and look at a headstone, and that's not how I want to remember my mom.
No, I've been a few times to the cemetery, and I'll try and visit on holidays and stuff. But when they're gone, you can talk to them anywhere. And sitting at a $20,000 headstone isn't doing it for me. But if you've got the money, go spend it. Right. Who cares? But to me, in our humble lives, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But again, they're making money off of grief.
Yep.
And when people are grieving, they make horrible decisions, unless you're Kelly and you tell the funeral director to fly a kite. But people make bad decisions when they're grieving because they just want the process over, and they want to celebrate the loved one that had passed. But in most cases, like your mom, if she woke up from the grave today and she found out you spent $10,000 on a hole in the ground, she'd probably slap you around a little bit.
She would. She'd slap me, and then she'd probably go slap the funeral director at the other place.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's the only thing that kept me from doing that, because I knew. I said, if she was here right now, she would, for one, kick this girl right in the teeth, you know, and I said, and for two, she wouldn't want me to do that.
Yeah.
I was 21, you know, I hadn't even graduated college yet. My dad probably would have done it. My dad has absolutely no financial, you know, he's just cracks me up sometimes.
You know, a lot of people will just say, all right, well, that's just the way it is, and do it. And I'll be honest, I kind of like that sometimes. I just want it to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have had the money to spend on that either.
No, I mean, yeah, I was so mad. Ugh.
Well, in times of grief, take a breath, walk outside, and don't make a bad decision instantly. Mm-hmm. So your mom, they drove her around the different. Whose hearse was she in?
I have
the
no
one
idea.
Funeral home?
I don't know. That's another thing. Did I have to pay for their gas? Were you going to charge me for driving her?
Yeah, because the funeral home, they came and picked up my mom. The funeral directors had suits on and they had a hearse. It was the funeral home's hearse. So I'm trying to picture your mom driving around the city.
I know. That's what I said. Her sense of humor, she'd think it's hilarious. She'd probably be like, stop and get me a Miller Lite over here. You know?
Last ride.
Yeah. But yeah, she died in the hospital. So I know they had asked me in the hospital, you know, where are you planning on taking her? And I was having to figure all that out. Yeah. So they took her to this one funeral home. And then I had to call them and say, hey.
Was it an ambulance?
I don't know. I just said, hey, I'm changing my mind. We're not going there. So he drove her down the street some more.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good that you were smart enough and quick-witted enough to make those decisions.
I mean, a good thing too. Probably, you know, if you're going through that situation and you really don't know what to do, because like I said, I had my aunt with me and my dad, but get like an unbiased opinion. Yeah. You know, my mom didn't have a will, so I mean, I could have cremated her. You know, I could have went the cheapest route possible and said, "This is what I have." I obviously would never have done that because I really think she would have haunted me. But
yeah, she said she would.
She did. Yeah, but you know, call someone and just say, hey, this is what they're saying. You know, get an unbiased opinion and, you know, logic. Use some logic. Well,
given this episode, realize that you do have time to make those decisions. Mm-hmm. And we've proven with COVID that people can, you know, they can preserve the body for so long. I had a friend of mine that the person died and they preserved the body for 3 months until they could actually have a funeral for the loved one.
Wow.
So, you know, these people that are forcing you into these decisions, these grief-based decisions, are evil, and I believe you're evil, and you shouldn't do that to people. But take some time, take a breath, go outside. I don't even smoke. When my mom died, I smoked 6 cigarettes that day.
Really?
I did. I tore it up on my dad's front porch, and I don't know why, but I was trying to do something to channel the grief. But even if you don't smoke, walk outside, take a breath, smoke a cigarette. I'm not advocating smoking, but do something to walk away and make the right decision. Don't make a grief-based decision. Be like Kelly and walk away. That's the greatest story ever. Because most people wouldn't do that.
No. Yeah. No, it was hard.
Anyway, thanks for listening into this episode of Shirley Talk. Kelly, how can people help us out with our mission?
Well, we would love to have you as a monthly donor. 2021, we are pushing for 1,000 $10 monthly donors. So that's $10,000 a month. And that could help out a lot of people in our community. So you can go to shirleysway.org, sign up to be a monthly donor. We have 3 raffles a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday is queenofheartslive.org, Wednesday, jokerswildlive.org, and Friday, wheelofcashlive.org. These are all split the pot raffles, $2 tickets. We would love to have you.
Yeah, get out there, sign up for be a donor, $10 donor, and play our games. They're a lot of fun. We stream them all to YouTube. You can watch them all live, and we've turned it into a TV show. So Kelly's getting popular around Louisville. People are constantly asking her for an autograph anywhere we go. So get out there. If you see Kelly out, say hi. She loves the attention.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.